Welcome to Open Vision Space, a forward thinking podcast. We're kicking off the first episode in the beautiful city of Barcelona. And what's so special about this city is that it is home to the minor basilica, but in my view, it's a cathedral, the Sagrada Familia. And the Sagrada Familia is set to be finished in 2026. And what's so amazing is that the build actually started in 1882. And the distinct design was created by Antonio Gaudí, who was born in 1852 and died in 1926. And at that time, the Sagrada Familia was only finished for about 25%. And so almost 100 years later, we still haven't seen the end result of this. Which brings us to Open Vision Space. This podcast really came to me in the sense of, or in the spirit of cathedral thinking. And what cathedral thinking is that you're adopting a long-term vision or a goal to inspire people to contribute to something. What's so beautiful about building a cathedral and, in essence, also cathedral thinking is that for many generations, people contribute to something that's bigger than anything they've ever seen. And in doing so, they have a certain mindset that says, you know what, I'm going to contribute to this build, but I'm probably never going to see the finished product, in this case, a cathedral. And I'm really inspired by that because if we look at the world today, there's many things that we're experiencing now that are a result of the decision making that was done 10 years ago, 100 years ago, or even longer than that ago. And we are having to deal with those decisions and the consequences of those decisions. Um, and if you're very conscious about what you're doing today, how it affects tomorrow, and then the future, we can create something magnificent. And so that notion of cathedral thinking was really what coined Open Vision Space, the forward thinking podcast. My name is Maryama Marong. And through my company, Bend and Stretch, I consult organizations and businesses in innovation. And through my work in innovation, I have met many great people, whether that was for creating new value propositions, new products, services, or even, new and inventive ways of collaboration and how actually do we organize ourselves to be future proof, but also in creating more sustainable strategies for business. And in that collaborating and meeting all of these great change makers, I saw that those people in those organizations, they had one thing in common, and that was their willingness to contribute to something bigger than themselves. And in this case, the world, be it people, be it planet, or be it both. And what was so interesting to me is that every time I come into a company, whether that's for a short-term project or a long-term engagement, I work with a team or I build a team. And these are real trailblazers. They're very motivated, very inspired, and willing to take action. And with innovation, what we see is that there's really this need for change. You cannot create something new and, not touch the old or existing. Some things have to change. And then there's this group that is super willing and motivated and excited by that. But there's also a big group who are, not really too keen on changing anything. And in that space, I felt that these willing innovators, trailblazers, pioneers, however you want to call them, they oftentimes also felt very alone on their own little island. They say, we have this vision, we see the opportunity, we want to make this work, but sometimes it just feels like it's just us. Through my lens, I meet a lot of people that are actually doing great work and are contributing to a better world. And I thought to myself, you know what? What if I would create a space where people with an open vision could come together and exchange ideas, exchange insights? Let's talk about how we are creating that better world, how we all are building that cathedral. Some of us maybe, on top, creating the tower, some of us working on a foundation, but together we are all building that beautiful, wonderful, big, big building that will be here for 100 years to come. So, through the conversations, I want to shed light on these amazing initiatives that people have taken to build a better and brighter future. We all have a role to play, baseline. But I want to shed light on how people are doing that, and in doing so, kind of democratize the way that we can create impact. So let's talk about the name Open Vision Space. I was actually having a conversation with one of the people that is a guest on the podcast, Susanna Fredenzi, and we talked about what it was that really drove us. What are we passionate about? And I said, in my work, there always is this moment, whether we're in a workshop or we're in a sprint, or we just are in a team meeting and we're looking at all of the scenarios or all of the concepts or all of the steps that we can take into creating that new innovation or implementing it in the company, there is this light bulb moment or aha moment, however you want to call it, where people say, wow, this is possible. I never thought it would be. And now I see it. Now I see it. And actually, now we can start doing it. And I said, that moment is priceless to me. And this is actually what makes my work not feel like work, because that moment of the puzzle pieces falling together or the light bulb going on, that is really what drives me. And I said, you can only reach that point, that aha moment, when you have an open vision. And so I always say, if you look at design thinking, right, you have a couple of phases where you empathize, you do research, then you define a problem or a challenge based on the research. And in order to try to solve that challenge, you come up with ideas, which is phase three, ideation. And from the moment of ideation, then you move into prototyping. You're going to create that concept, like a lo-fi or a hi-fi prototype. And then you move into the testing phase. You start testing it. And then from the test, you get insights and you can optimize your prototype. And that's a cyclical process. And at some point, you have to say, okay, this is going to be the innovation. This is what we're going to implement. This is what we're going to put out in the market. And this is going to be our new thing. And you can apply that method on product, service, strategy, whatever you want to do. But the first few phases, especially empathy, doing research, problem or challenge definition, and then ideation, they can feel very confusing. But there comes a point where there's this aha moment, and you can only get there when you enter the first phase with an open vision. So that is how the name of this podcast came about. Me reflecting on my own work and the methods that I use from design thinking and systems thinking. And what I love about, having an open vision is that it's really about broadening one's horizons. So when we talk about the future, and the horizon is also a synonym for the future. So you're broadening your horizon, you're broadening what is possible for the future, and you're broadening actually your own concept or understanding of what the future really entails. Let's talk about open vision and consider various paths to progress. In the ideation phase, in creating innovations, you often find a lot of different concepts that have a lot of potential, but it's all about making decisions and choices. So you're not supposed to create a prototype, right, for every concept out there, but there are multiple pathways to Rome. In this case, there are multiple paths to progress towards the future. I'll be talking to different leaders in their own fields. And I don't know what we're going to find out, but we're going to find out along the way. And in those conversations, I will try to summarize some key insights for you to take away from each conversation. You'll always walk away with a few insights that you can yourself use to create a brighter future. And then also the notion that impact really has no singular meaning. It can mean different things to different people. And that is really great, actually, because if we understand that, what impact can we make collectively on this world? Welcome to Open Vision.